Well, this is weird, isn't it? Although maybe it's like your fifth or sixth one by now, so maybe this is now totally normal, which is a shame. I wish we were meeting in person tonight, but we're not. If you don't know me, my name is Ian Sheeny. I am your child's sophomore history teacher this year. These are the two courses I'll be teaching them, which I'll talk more about soon. This is the face that we'll be teaching them, and I can't apologize enough for that. And actually, let's just turn this camera off for the rest of the time so you don't have to look at such a face as I talk about this course. But before I turn that camera off, a quick look at the classroom where I teach them. You'll see 13 desks, each with just one chair, so they're safely socially distanced with their masks on, and we follow all protocols here in room 228. So I hope that puts your minds at ease, at least for their history class. If not greater society these days, they will be safe here. Okay, all right, off goes the camera, and let's talk about this course that they're taking. So if we look here, you see two different courses listed, one in red and one in blue. I teach each course, but they're a semester long each. So combined, it's a year-long course that I'll be teaching them. And I kind of try to seamlessly merge them. You know, at the very end of this early modern world history period, we're going to talk about the age of exploration, which includes people like Columbus crossing the Atlantic and finding the Americas. And then that, of course, will then set up advanced placement U.S. history. So even though it's two separate courses, two different semesters, two different grades, it is, in my mind, a full year course. And the first semester very much sets up the second semester, not just in content, but in a lot of the skills that were practiced in the first semester are valuable for their AP US history course moving forward. Here's my plan for today. I hope not to take up too much of your time. The most important step today is number one, which is to convince you not to hate me. I say that because I know there's a lot of work in the course. I try to warn the students about that ahead of time, that there's more work in this course, especially early on, than they'll have in any other course at Waterford High School to date. And that is tough for some students to adapt to, and frequently because they are struggling with that workload, that gets passed on to you at home. And for that reason, perhaps I have a bad reputation at home, which is mostly deserved. But I just want to state that I think the work I assign is important. I think it helps them evolve as students. And once they get used to the flow and the pace, typically students find that after the first month or two, that things start to improve. Their situations improve. They can handle the work. They know what they're doing. They know what's expected of them. And things get a bit easier for them as a result. So they can stick with it through the early parts of the course, then they'll be fine. And I hope they come out on the other end better students than when they came in. And that's my hope. And I hope that you entrust me to accomplish that goal. All right, that's done. Hopefully that's a mission accomplished. Secondly, I'd like to discuss my emphasis on these skills, the following skills. If you look over the skills, you'll notice that these are things that are imperative for college. They're honor students, they're advanced placement students, or at least they're about to be. The hope is that they're going to college. I assume that's what you want for them. And in college, at least I reflect on my own experience, these were the three most important skills that I had there, that I needed anyway. I needed to learn how to write well. I needed to learn how to read a lot quickly, understand difficult texts. And I needed to become a really good listener for those college professors and their lectures. So we practice those things here as well in my class. Now, the tough writing is important. It's a really important skill, not just for college, but in the future after that, to organize one's own thoughts, to have some rhetorical ability. Important writing is good. The problem is writing isn't easy. Writing is difficult. It's not, sometimes writing down the answer to a math equation can be easy, or answering a multiple choice question can be easy, or even if it's difficult, guessing at multiple choice can be easy. But writing is hard. It takes time, right? And for that reason, a lot of students resist writing. It's the longest thing it takes when it comes to homework is writing. And for that reason, they don't like it. And part of my job and part of my mission is to make writing less difficult for them. That the more practice they get, the easier it'll be to sit down and write. And they won't resist it as much. And they'll reflect upon their improvements in writing later and be grateful that they are better. So I try to make them better writers. To improve their essay scores, there are several things that can be helpful, including rubrics. Just give you an example of a rubric from their first essay of the year. This is one of the students' rubrics. And their goal with each subsequent rubric should be to improve upon their score. So here, you see anything that was in the 5 column for the student, that means they did that pretty well. But things that are in the 4 and the 3 column aren't as good. And their goal should be, well, how do I fix that for the next essay? So I'm getting better essay grades, and more importantly, I'm becoming a better writer. So either through looking at the essay itself where I have my comments, or these comments here, or just by asking me, they should find ways to improve their writing and move their scores left within a few essays. So later essays, they're consistently scoring in the 5 area, which means they're getting something in the A range. There's also the writing rules, the dreaded writing rules. Perhaps you've seen them. It's this big blob of rules. Here's the first 10, a screenshot of the first 10. There are 40 of them, which is a lot. I don't expect them to know all of them right away. What we do is we integrate 10 at a time. So for their first essay, they had to follow the first 10 rules. And if they broke them, they lost a point on their essay. And then for the second essay, we work in rules 11 to 20. And for their third, 21 to 30. And away we go. And I also assign these smaller assignments in between that they have to look closely at the writing rules. So they had an assignment on the first 10 writing rules. I listed all these sentences. Each of them broke one of the rules. They had to figure out which one it was and fix the sentence. We did the same thing for rules 11 to 20. In the future, we'll do the same thing for the rules 21 to 30. So over time, the idea is that they'll learn the writing rules and they'll stop breaking them. And on my end, instead of having to write out the reason they got a point off on something, I can just write 5A on it, which will save me time to grade. It'll also mean their essay isn't too cluttered with my comments, and then they go look up what 5A was and remember not to break that rule in the future. And something else that I provide is this chart that I call all the writing rules I broke. And for their first essay, they had to go back and look at all the writing rules they broke and then shade in those boxes. So if they broke 5A, for example, they'd have to shade in the 5th box under essay 1. If they broke the 15th writing rule, they had to do the 15th. So their first couple essays will probably have a lot of boxes shaded in, but the hope is over time, there'll be less and less shade as they get better and better at writing, and they'll keep track of frequently broken writing rules. Let's say they're breaking 15 a lot, which is not writing in the past tense. They'll then look, they'll see that they've broken 3 of the first 4 essays. So in the 5th essay, they'll really keep a close eye on their tense when they write, or any other writing rule that they frequently break. They'll try not to break those rules anymore. Next, we have tough readings here. And this is another area where colleges, they'll assign lots of reading, lots of texts. Students will have to get better at reading texts as quickly as possible while understanding it. And so I mix in some hard texts already, so they start to get used to them. And by the time of the second semester, hopefully they're reading a bit better. When we get to some of those really important foundational documents from class, things like the Declaration of Independence and the Mayflower Compact aren't easy. So it's important that they can work through them. And then see, there I have lectures. As I said earlier, it's a big part of college's lecture, so I do a lot of lecturing here. I try to keep the students involved as best I can. I'll call on them frequently to offer their ideas. I do admit with hybrid, it's a lot harder to bring in the half of the students that are home, but at least they're rotating in and out for the most part, so I can try to engage them as best I can, whether they're home or in front of me. Let's take a quick look at the course units, so you know the content that we're covering this year. This, I know, looks like madness, might not make a lot of sense. I spent a little bit of time with it with the students while they're here, but maybe the best thing to look at is semester 1 and semester 2. Semester 1 is early modern world history, where we cover about those dates. And then I have 3 units that we'll cover: the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and the Age of Absolutism. And then semester 2 is that advanced placement US history. Now, I just focus on the early stuff. I do periods 1, 2, and 3, which are periods created by the College Board, which makes the AP exam. So we do that in the second semester, quarter 3 and quarter 4, you see there. And then as juniors, they'll go to Miss Virtue, who teaches next door to me in room 229. And they will do the rest of US history. Periods 4 through 9 will be then. And so they do the first third of it with me, and then the other 2/3 of it will be with her. And at the end of their junior year, they'll take their AP US history exam, which is on all of this stuff. I'll move on here, but if you want to take more time with the slide, of course, you just pause it and feel free. That's it. If you have any questions, please reach out with an email, icheney@waterfordschools.org. I consider it very important to have quick replies to parents with questions or comments. So without question, I'll get back to you no matter what you'd like to say. And so I hope if you need to reach out that you feel comfortable to do so. I'll be sure to reply. But that's that for today. Thanks so much for your attention. And so far, I've very much enjoyed teaching this group of sophomores, and I'm looking forward to doing so for the rest of the year. And hopefully, who knows, maybe I'll have all of them in at the same time if things work out with the pandemic. I hope you're staying safe at home. Thanks for loaning me your kids every other day for a little bit, and I'll try not to let you down.